Well, we're gonna jump into it. I'm at-large council member Robert White. I am really excited to be joined this evening by a group of folks I have a great deal of respect for. Let me start over here with Tony Lewis Jr. This is a guy in DC who I think has the strongest, in my opinion, perspective on incarceration, on the impacts of the justice system on our communities, how we support young people and families. And this is something that Tony has just, I mean, literally written the book on. And so if I'm having a conversation about what's happening with young people, juvenile crime, parental accountability, this is somebody I absolutely want to have at the table. We have Annisha, who is a student at Anacostia. I've met several times, does really incredible advocacy work, is such a strong voice for her generation. Very excited to have her. Arayah, a student at Dunbar, as sharp as they come, is lending her perspective in this conversation this evening. And Missy Jackson, right to my right, who I met under unfortunate circumstances several years ago when she lost her grandson, Malachi, who was 15 years old, to gun violence in this city. And since then has not really kind of stopped and pulled back, but has stepped forward to say, we need to support young people better so that what happened in her family doesn't happen in other families. And how do we support young people before they become victims of crime, before they engage in issues? And when I'm around the city, the number one issue, obviously, for folks today is public safety. Folks don't feel safe in the city. In almost every conversation I have with people comes back to the issue of juvenile crime. And people are saying they're scared. They feel like they're always looking over their shoulders. And as they talk about juvenile crime, one of the things that comes up with a surprising amount of frequency for me is the question of parental accountability. People say, why are we holding these parents accountable for what young people are doing? And I have some thoughts on that, but I'm going to save that for later. So I gave just kind of big overview introductions of who's here, but let's kind of do more formal introductions. So what I'm going to ask each of you to do is introduce yourself, but also talk to me about your experience or observation with public safety in the city. And let me start with Anisha.
My name is Annisha. I was at Anacostia High School. I'm 17. Can you repeat the questions?
Yeah. So you've introduced yourself. What's your experience or observations about safety in the city right now, in DC right now?
My experience with safety in DC right now is that DC honestly isn't safe, but like I feel like that there's a lot of resources for why DC, like for why the youth do what they do. My observation, that's also my observation. Like it's just, I feel like there's things that the youth are lacking, or it's just they don't have the help or the resources to not do what they're doing.
I appreciate it. We're going to get into that a little bit more. All right. Arayah, I'm so sorry. That's right. Right.
I'm a junior at Dunbar. My observation is DC is not safe, but I don't think it's just because of a lack of resources. It's the lack of knowledge about those resources. Like I think DC has a lot of programs, but if you don't know about something, you can't apply for it, or you can't initiate kind of a way to go about things better. And I feel like just as a young person, like I haven't met a peer who hasn't lost a friend, like, or someone who hasn't died of like gun violence, just all around us in the city. Like, no matter where we go, where we turn, somebody has a story, somebody has a loved one that they lost, or somebody's been a victim themselves. So it's definitely not a really big issue.
That's heavy. I want to give that to be give Missy an opportunity to introduce yourself, and also while you do that, your perspective or observation, safety.
And so my observation is we
as a community, we need to with our youth, also with the homelessness, with the gun violence, we need to step up. We don't need to say, because this person wasn't a family member of mine, that we're gonna keep quiet. You know, it's time out for being quiet. Because with all of these kids dying, you know, we always go to a funeral, but then we say, rest in peace, and then someone else died right after that. And so it's time to step up and do something, you know, about being quiet. We can't be quiet.
Do you feel like things are getting better in terms of public safety or worse, say the past 5 years?
It's the same. It has been the same. I don't see it going anywhere, but we're not as far back as we were.
And Tony Lewis Jr., need no introduction, but introduce yourself and your perspective, observations on where we are right now in terms of public safety.
Thank you, Councilman, for having me. Tony Lewis Jr., activist, advocate, author. And in this space, I think it's important to raise up, husband and father.
That's right.
And I've worked in public safety as it relates to workforce development and youth intervention, for all of my adult life, honestly. And I really feel like our system is based on trying to keep us, if you will, safe from them, right? And I believe that the route to public safety is really going to be about how do we ensure that everybody's safe. And honestly, some of the people that live outside of the margins are the most unsafe. And I think we need a paradigm shift in that regard. We kept them safe. If by default, all of us would be more safe. What does that look like? We start talking about economic stability, economic viability for Black people from DC. We look at victims and perpetrators. That's by and large, right? We're 95th percentile as Black people, probably Black people from Washington. And so we can be hyper focused on that group and figuring out what they need, connecting the dots. I am optimistic though, because I feel like we do have so many things that could make us safer. We just need to coordinate it. And I think we will, but we have to be honest about that lack of coordination or vision and leadership around.
So on that point about sort of the economics of Black Washingtonians, one thing I want to mention is where we are. We are in Ward 5 at the Spice Suite, owned by a Black woman, Angel. All the other shops here owned by Black women. And I think it's incredible. It's such a DC thing. It's an incredible thing. But it's still in this city, I think the average person, especially the average Black person, doesn't feel like that type of success is attainable. And that's something we've got to be focused on. But when we talk about what's happening in the city, we see a surge in young people engaging in serious crimes, and the ages getting younger and younger, which is something Tony was saying to me years ago. He's saying, Robert, the ages of these folks getting involved is really getting young. I mean, we're seeing kids as young as 9 and 10 involved in carjackings, robberies. It is a scary thing. Not just scary in terms of the people facing it, but scary in terms of what's happening to our young people. And so I want to start with this question that is posed to me all the time. Why are we holding parents accountable? And I'm going to put our young folks on the spot. Do you have thoughts on whether the law enforcement, the government should be holding parents accountable for what their kids are doing if their kids are engaged in serious?
Yes, I feel like that they should not be holding the parents accountable for them serious crimes, because no matter what a parent does, no matter how much a parent will tell their child that they don't want them to do this, a parent can plead and cry all day long. But if that child has a mind set and going outside to go carjack, steal, they have guns in the hood, that's what that child's mind is going to be set on. If he's an influence around a community where they're just stealing cars, shooting people, and doing stuff like that, that person's gonna look at that and forget everything that what their parents talking about. They don't care nothing about what they're talking about. And I can say that from experience. So I'm just like, I don't think that that parent should be held accountable for anything, because the parent, I promise you, a parent could plead and cry all day, and that child do not care. So it's like, why hold the parent accountable for something they don't really want their child to do? They would rather their child be in a house than to sit and do time or be held accountable for the child's actions. The child should be held for their actions. They the ones who decided to go outside and do what they did, not the parent. The parent, only parent did was had them and try to teach them the right way. They didn't listen. And also, some kids are not raised in a good living life. They don't know no better but to stay. They don't have the resources. They don't have anything like that parent could be anything. Like they could have grew up in a bad household, like, or that parent was just on Section 8, or they like didn't really have no money, couldn't really work anything. That child grew up in that type of predicament, so all they had to do was steal and do certain stuff to get what they have now. So it's like that's all they know. They want to be better, but that's all they know. So it's not the point of holding a parent accountable.
But Ray, what's your thoughts on this?
I think to hold the parent accountable to some extent, I definitely agree with Anisha. I think when, you know, a child has made up their mind about something, like even to my own experience, like when I made my mind up about something, can't nobody tell me differently. And I just think that's the stubbornness that my generation has, and it's a good thing, but it also can be a bad thing. So yes, the parent should be held accountable, but to some extent, like the story about when that child with the gun to school in Virginia, that's something that of course the parent should be held accountable, because how is your child having access to guns, especially at such a young age? But I think somewhere like DC, where you can literally go outside and ask your friends for a gun and they'll give it to you no problem, or where you could easily, like, drugs is so easily accessible, that it makes it hard on the parent to kind of control everything that their child is doing. Because what about that parent that has to work? What about that single mom that is working from 12 to 8 and their child has to come home and, you know, watch themselves or watch their siblings? You can't control what that child does. And so what do you expect for the parent to quit their job, to stay home, and then you kind of bash the parent for not having no money, or for living on Section 8, or for having food stamps. So it's like a win-lose or a lose-lose.
Yeah. Missy, they have a powerful and difficult perspective on this issue of holding parents accountable for what their kids are doing. What's your thoughts on this?
And so I can honestly say that I do have a 50-50 attitude on it. We do have children that's out here with guns, 9, 10, 11 years old, when they should be in school. They get in trouble, you know, and then the courts want to say, okay, well, let's go to their mother, or let's go to the father. But the damage has already been done. So, you know, with a victim, parent, grandparent, it's hard to say, well, you know, their mother wasn't there, or their mom was on drugs, or, you know, she raised the child on his own. What do we do with that? You know, and then you have another perspective that says, okay, well, the parent was out here working, and the child just, you know, was out here at 9, 10 o'clock at night breaking in someone's car. But that parent have to get up in the morning. She didn't hear her son go outside. So what do we do with that? And so we're easy to say, okay, well, let's charge the parent. But if you take that child away from the parent, now who's going to raise it? You know, so it's kind of 50-50.
It's not
easy.
Really helpful. What to do? Difficult question. And do you have a perspective of what it's like to have a parent incarcerated, what impact that has on the family? Can you talk about parent accountability for what kids are doing from the perspective of somebody who had a parent who was incarcerated?
Yeah, I think when you think about particularly communities like the ones around DC, we see a lot of these kids coming from first of all, it's like the assumption that this child is actually being raised by their parent, right? A lot of times, like you mentioned, when my father went to prison, my mom started, soon after that, we started dealing with like severe mental illness. My grandmother raised me. So like whatever I was doing or me and my homies was doing, like in our neighborhood, my grandmother had gotten in trouble for it. And she was just trying to step in and help out her daughter. You understand what I'm saying? I think you'll find that a lot. And so I do think our laws as they exist today, I do want to raise up that if a parent was like obviously complicit or help further a crime, our laws right now as they are can hold that parent accountable. But in most times that's not what you're seeing. We're seeing destabilized households, people doing the best that they can, multiple children, single mothers or grandmothers or auntie, you know what I mean? And it's hard to keep your eyes on a child at all times, even when it's two parents in the household. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think so I just want, the public has to understand that. And these communities or these households don't look like sometimes the ones that people grew up in where things, were sort of like traditional, right? And so we have to take that into account. The best thing I feel we can do is sometimes with the juveniles and even adults for that matter, it's not the first time that there's been some brush. And I think we got to do a better job for that initial interaction, anything with the justice system to trigger something to dig deep. How can we best support that family, right? How can we best support the child through the family? And so that there's a web of services and supports that gives us the best chance of stopping the kid from sort of maturing into criminality.
Right. So these answers are interesting to me because of a couple of perspectives. One is when I was growing up, my mom passed when I was young, so it was my dad. Well, my dad didn't get off work till when he got off work. And so my brother and I kind of came home. On our way home, we got in trouble sometimes we didn't. He couldn't leave work early, there was nobody to come pick us up from school. And when we got caught, we got in trouble, but if we didn't get caught, we did. But when I first got elected to the council, there was a mom who's become a good friend. I have a lot of respect for it. She reached out to me for help because to your point, Anisha, her son was starting to get into trouble, hang out with folks that she thought was going to get him hurt. And she reached out to me for help because she said she didn't know what else she could do. She would try to tell him to do the right thing. She tried to keep him home. She tried to make sure he got to school. But to your point, he was going to do what he was going to do. And I always think about that conversation of this mom who reached out to the government for help. And I looked around at resources and I didn't see the resources for her. And I always think about that when I think about parents being accountable. What would it look like for, let's say, a kid has a brush with the justice system? Should we require parents to come to a meeting and talk about what resources they need, kind of what issues they're seeing and how we can help? Do you think that would be sort of appropriate when a young person gets into trouble, let's say the first time?
We should go to them.
Yeah.
Because to the point you made earlier, like they can't come to us, but we should go to them.
Yeah.
Right? Like meet people where they are and say, hey, look, this is what Ray's point about being able to know what the resources are.
Yeah.
So we go to these families and to these communities and say, look, you guys, this is what we got. This is what we can do. Right. This is gonna be the mentor. This is what is he interested in? What is she interested in? These are the options. The more people know, the more they got there. I feel like they have it at their disposal. And that's a big thing. People don't find out about things until it's too late or if ever, right? I think that's an important thing that we should do. You disperse somebody to community, directly to families, to at least say, hey, this is what we can do. Now, ultimately, it's up to the parents, it's up to the families to take advantage. But I think that's the responsibility of us as community, as government, to say, hey, this is what your options are. Yeah, I think that'll take us a long way. I think.
On that issue of mentoring, Anisha or Arayah, if I know you all are more sort of involved than most young people, if the average young person at either of your schools wanted to have a mentor, where could they go for that?
I have a mentor, and uh, she kind of unofficially didn't even realize that like she was my mentor until it was like every month she was asking me, if she could help with anything school wise. But I don't think that there's like mentor programs, not any of that I know of, that is just like, okay, you get a mentor, and this is someone that will stick with you through your middle school or like your high school years. But I think it's definitely very important to have one. Like Lauren had me at the OAG.
She's great.
She's my mentor, and literally I could call on her for anything. Like I know that like if nobody else has my back, she has my back.
Yeah.
And she's helped me through like so much, just school wise. Like even when I was like becoming unfocused in school, it was just like, what am I doing this for? Like what am I doing like schoolwork, or just even being active in my community. She's always been a person to like bring me back in ways that like my own parents can. So I don't think it's really like she's one of like the main people in my life that I would contribute to just being here, like, or just me even being alive today. Like I definitely feel like,
Sure. That's that. I mean, that's powerful. I didn't learn the importance of mentors until I was much older, and now I think it is so important, especially for young people. Anisha, what's what's your experience, if any, with mentors, and how can young people at your school find mentors if they don't have one?
That's like I said before, I'm not experienced. I've been through the street stuff, but like I've had mentors since I was in elementary. But I would say that one thing that we don't have a lot of like mentor groups that you can go to, or like I can't go in the back of my health insurance card and follow a mentor program that I feel safe in talking to, because I've been in and out of so many social workers, mentors, and I forgot what the other ones I call, the ones that come pick you up and take you places. Those are my favorite. Because I was like getting out the house, I don't get in just make you sit there and do. But like I have like one of my schools that I talk to, but I don't really go to her often because it's like she just became my mentor this year, because my mentor that I did really trust. So it was like I just been in and out of social workers, but I just feel like we don't have, if we had the resources, but we could sit down with a social worker for like, yeah, like do your whole high school years, or like do your whole middle school years. That would really, but it's not really a lot of places for us to go look, especially not in Boston. I said we got like 4 social workers.
Yeah.
And a lot of students don't even look for them. Like, you can't even tell them it's a social worker unless you get into a fight or something, or an altercation, and they come in there, because you always have to have any and a social worker. But it's like we don't. But then like it's like to step in place of some social workers, you have like violence against like lungs.
Yeah.
You have them. You have a lot of other different programs that are stepping up, and like that's more like social workers. Like I've had this one person for like once since like last year, and I really trust her. Like I really talked to her on some mad stuff. Like I don't like being talked to like a little kid. I like being to the real stuff. So it's like I really talked to her on some good big big stuff, and she really like pissed me straight financially. But it's like people like that is really stepping up to turn around for social workers. So really, these are looking for social workers. Really just looking like violence community.
I'm working with 3 more social workers. I have a program that's starting at a UBC that's going to allow DC residents to go get their master's in social work for free. So if either of you decide to go down that path, go for free. I see that face. Other than mentors, based on what you see and hear from your peers, what are some things that you think young people need in order to help keep them out of trouble?
I think one of the biggest ones that like is being talked about now is like after school activities. And so I know that like a couple of my peers have been pushing for like recs to stay open longer. And like on the weekends and stuff. But I think students just need a place where they feel safe to go after school. Because sometimes home is not always safe.
Right.
And home is not always the place that you want to be. And so when you don't have nowhere else to go, you're going do what you need to do. So, and that is like, it's a cycle over and over and over and over and over again. And so I think if students really had like, even outside of rec centers, but if students really had a place where they felt safe, where they was like, you know, no matter what, I can go there and I can get a hot meal and somewhere to sleep that's not a group home,
Yeah.
then I feel like that would definitely be like a really good thing, because I think the only like group homes in DC is like social groups. And I've been in social groups myself, and I have a lot of friends that's been in social groups. That's a very last resort. Like, that's not no place that you want to be. And so ain't nobody gonna go there. Like,
Right.
and then social groups you only stay there for like 2 days. So
Missy, you heard a lot from the young people. I know you do a lot of work to sort of engage young people in communities. What's your thought, or based on your experiences and what you hear in the work that you do, about what young people need and where government or community need to step up?
So, before I start talking, I just want to say, y'all ladies are you're very forward. And I really appreciate you guys, because I'm learning a lot from you too. So we're not just, you know, we're not parents that know everything, we're learning. And I just wanted to say that to you guys. Yes. So here's the thing. Yes, I do a lot of community work. I engage with the homelessness, the young youth that's on drugs. They have this thing called the lean. They say it's not new, but it's still new on the market. We have fentanyl. These babies, and I call them babies because they're 8, 9, and up. You know, they're out here doing drugs. And so here's the thing. When you're that young, out on the corner, and I've witnessed it with my own eyes, and I give you just a little bit on 7th Street, Northwest. Young babies nodded out, right? You can't engage them because they're not in the right mind. You have the older generation that's protecting these babies. You know, I'm not going to say they're pushing it on them, but, you know, what else could it be? Here's the thing again. If you have a person with 3 strikes against them, they can't go and do crime anymore. So they're getting these babies to help them out in this crime. And in the process, these kids are getting hooked on drugs and they're drinking more. Where's the parents at this age? You know, I heard Arayah say, well, listen, the little boy at 6 years old shouldn't have had a gun. And she's absolutely right. What was the parents at? Why this gun wasn't put in place? There's rules to having a gun. And so why, you know, where's the parents? This is what I say, we can't stop and we can't be quiet. Somebody have to bring it out. Okay, your child is this age, your child is that age. Why are they out here this time of night? You know, your child just went to jail for shooting another child at the age of 10, 11, 12 years old. Why is this gun not locked up? Why is there not, you know, there's laws and orders for a person having guns in their home. So again, when I go out into the community, I have to sit back and I have to say, wow, let me calm down first, because I need to know the resource. I need to know the source of why. It's a why thing there. And so if you skip over the why, you're going to miss the whole subject. You're going to miss everything that is surrounded in that child, because if you go to a child and they locked up, the first thing the police say, why did you have the gun? And so parents out here is not asking the questions. Why?
So I'm gonna come back to what Anaya said earlier, but I want to get your perspective on this first, Tony. And they said lack of resources. Arayah said something. I'm sorry. Arayah said something. Anisha said it earlier. Arayah said it later. In terms of resources for young people, when we were growing up in DC, used to go by the rec center, Boys and Girls Club. It felt like there was more stuff for young people to do. What are your thoughts on what type of resources we need to engage young people and sort of capture their interest now?
Yeah, I think, well, the last thing you said, I think is important. I personally feel like there are more resources now than it was when we were growing up. I think Anisha kind of alluded to something with the OLA program that runs in Anacostia, right? Is that it's very, very important to have people in these spaces that you identify with. You know, we got the pretty buildings and this and that, but if the people that's in these spaces don't connect with the youth are not gonna let them in. That's essential to reaching people. And we were growing up, them little dusty wrecks, them small wrecks, the number 2 boys, but they had those people. And so I think even I think about, she mentioned violence interrupters. And you mentioned the legislation you put forth for the social work. But we gotta find a way to connect these dots. A lot of people may not have BAs, right? I think about, Missy, you mentioned about addiction. I remember pitching something that I would love to see the VIs be able to get their CAC, a certified addiction counselor's license, right? But currently, you have to have an AA to even be eligible for that. Not to say that we bypass that. We got to start getting people on the track to these things so that they can get certified, get these credentials, because they are the answer. You're not going to be able to just pull people. Not to say that people coming directly from college campuses cannot, connect with our youth. But we have to give people that have been impacted, right? People that are culturally competent to be able to get the expertise and then send them back into community. They're going to give us the best shot at truly getting our arms around this problem. The reality of it is they already, like, if you watch, VIs. I remember when I was a program leader back in the day. I used to work in Shaw Elementary. They used to have me be a substitute teacher, whatever. I didn't know nothing about the subject we was teaching. But the reality was I connected with youth. Yeah. And we got to be very intentional about grabbing the people that we know have those relationships, that have that connectivity, that have that influence, and center them and encourage them to move forward, to be able to get things that they need to be in those spaces. And so that's sort of when I think about where we are today, and again, utilizing some influences in their generation, not in ours, to share information. Yeah. We don't do that enough. Like, stop trying to use the people that we know that are influential to us, but they ain't following me. I might be super influential to us, to our demographic, and you vice versa. But we need to get to the people that influence them, like them. And the last thing I'm gonna say, as I sit here, and I say, I want y'all to look at me real quick. I mean this, bottom of my heart. Like, there's a lot of people out there in the world who have sort of written our youth off. You know what I mean? But you guys are sitting here as experts and with your brilliance on display. I'm serious. I'm inspired. And when I go into the different schools, and I see y'all, I know all of the problems that you have. And I just want to thank y'all for showing the world like what DC youth really had, what y'all represent. You know what I mean? Y'all inspiring me. I mean that.
That's a word. Let me be real for a second. That's real. One of the things that makes me so nervous is a lot of people talk about young people in our city, don't talk to them. And you all are talking about the difficulties, the struggles, the pain you've experienced, the pain you see in other young people, the lack of resources. And these are places where the folks often talking about you are not showing up to provide those things. The average young person in this city is doing their best and is doing their best under very difficult circumstances. So just to piggyback on what Tony said, just incredible what you all accomplished, and not just right now, but every single day. And people are watching you all too when you don't know it. And I think you all are inspiring other young people. And so when Tony talks about influencers, it's talking about you too. It's I don't know what your social media following is, but that's not the only thing. Like young people are looking about how do I succeed? People see y'all succeeding. And what I want to see is more people doing what you're doing. Anisha, you mentioned earlier, I think your first response, lack of resources. For you and your peers, perfect world, what do the right resources look like?
The right resources for us to, I feel like that we would need, and our world would be perfect is one, like I feel like it needs to be more opportunities where the youth could speak up, like where the youth could use their voices. Yeah, sometimes youth don't want to join like little groups like Black Swan, DC Girls Coalition and stuff. But like I feel like there needs to be more chances where they're able to speak up. Or like there's a lot of things out here that, like Arayah said earlier, there's a lot of things out here that aren't like really broadcast to the youth. Like it's not really shown to like, it's like a lot of groups that I had found out about was literally only because my aunt works in the school system. So it was like, without her working in the school system or without my mom being on Section 8, I wouldn't know about none of that. Like in my school, we don't know about nothing. Like literally, and the only thing they just told about Urban Lion, and they tell us like they tell you stuff a month before it's over. Like what was that? It was called like you go, they take you on like to different countries and stuff like that, study abroad. Yeah. I literally missed it because they told us like 3 weeks. They told us one time, and then like I was like really busy with like student government and stuff like that, trying to get elected and stuff. So it was like after a while, I just wasn't like I just forgot about it, and like it came a week later, and I wasn't able to write my paragraphs. It was like, dang, I missed that chance. So I took that one on the chance. I was like, it's cool, but it's like it's a lot of stuff out here that students don't have. But anyway, because one yeah, students having an opportunity to speak up more. Two, more breaks. Cause like I feel like that's another thing too. Like when it comes to like students' mental health and stuff like that, and that also puts a toll on us being safe because you never know what a student could do. A school is draining. It really is, especially in your 11th and 12th grade years. And a lot of kids take AP classes. I take AP classes, and I have made 66 days of school because I'm drained. Like it's like school is. I walk around and it's like, oh my god. It's like as soon as you step in the building, it's just like everything. Your whole energy just goes away. Like it gets tiring to a certain extent. Like them snow days that Jolly gave us, Jolly did me justice. I got that good old tea. I really wake up at and have to leave out the house at 7:00. And like I would be so drained. And I go to work, I'm working with everybody, and it's just like I have to go to work every day but Friday, so I have to come back. And I'm also a cheer coach, so it's like I'm just doing everything that's like I just go smack the yeah. More things would be like more reps. Give us more something else that we not in these hoods, we not in these buildings, we not in these free cars. More opportunities where students can make money to get actual cars, their own car. Like 12th graders, a lot of 12th graders out here catching the bus. Where's the jobs or like the opportunities where students are able to make the money to get their own car, or Facebook Marketplace, if that has to be their first car. Sure. Like anything, they don't have like enough resources. And if the resources are out there, they're not broken.
So, Ray, let me give you a slightly different question. One of the things that existed a lot more back in the day, and a lot of older folks in DC talk about it, it was career and technical education. Basically, folks were in school, they weren't planning to go to college. They would take trades in school, learn a skill. So when they got out, they were making real money. They were starting careers that they could like start families, take care of families. And over time, it just seems like that dissipated and it kind of got spread too thin. Do you have thoughts on whether young folks want to go back to an experience like that?
Definitely. I think Dunbar has like a really unique opportunity that they do give us like those options, and we do have the choice to like in our 12th grade year to do internships that are maybe not focused on like typical school things that can be trades, But I also think like piggybacking on what she said, like there are resources like that out here. Like my cousin is at Job Corps and he just got his high school diploma and is now working on his trade. Like there are programs like that out there. Don't nobody know about them.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that there is like a lot of people want to help in this city. That I don't think that there's like people who want to see like the downfall of young people. They just don't know how to broadcast it. They don't know who to go to tell. They don't know how to get the word or the message out there. But yes, I think there needs to be more like let people know, like because those people who don't want to go to college, they still need to have an opportunity to do something else with their life. And college is not for everybody.
Sure.
Like high school is hard now, and I'm even at myself thinking like, do I want to do this for another week? Like, am I sure about this? And college is not only is it hard, but it's expensive too. And a lot of people might want to go, but they don't have 20, 30, 40, $50,000 a year to drop on college. And here there's FAFSA, here there's scholarships. Nobody knows about that word. And FAFSA, you need everybody in your whole family pretty much information. What about that mom that don't want to give her social security number? Or don't want to like be truthful about her income? Maybe just because she's embarrassed about it, or just because she don't want to, and that's all right. And so immediately there's 3-4 opportunities gone. And now you can't go to college. So what are you gonna do with your life? And so that's how I feel like older people in our generation, like 18, 19, 20, are getting into more crime because they don't have nothing to do with themselves at this point. Like, and they mama like, well, you gotta get about my house. Like you're not about to be 21, 22, 23, still living at home. And of course they grown, so they want to do what they want to do, without having their parents beating down their neck. So it's just like it's so many missed opportunities just because they don't even live like it.
But to everyone here, because I had to, but like this, the how many people are on Section 8 and how many students are struggling and cannot pay for college? That also ties into this not enough scholarships. Like, but it also ties into the part where she said like about trades and stuff like that inside of schools. There's not enough money inside of schools for us to do a trade. Like I literally just asked my principal. I was like, Mr. Walker, I said, I've asking for like 2 weeks straight. I've been talking to him about it. I want JLYCC and Anna. He was like, he couldn't, like next year, my last year. So I was like, we had it in Anna at first, but then it got taken out. So I told him I said I went to JLYCC. He told me he was gonna have to find me something outside of Anna because we couldn't get it in Anna within this year or even next year. This Anna is, we don't really have no money there. I can't. Anna is just like, but
So if somebody at your school wants to go into a trade so that when they graduate, they can be making money, what are their options?
that's cooperating. That's literally ever since I started working with since the 9th grade year. But last year we did barbering, we had took nail classes, we were getting into hair classes, we doing that this year. She just got us something called Guns Down. Yes, Guns Down Friday. I was supposed to meet her today, but I guess they didn't need.
They do a good person.
But she signed all of the kids up with them, and we look like we doing everything with them, and I just like that because barbering, like that's just something that there's a trade that's an easy trade right now, like nails. It's like that is as a female, that's an easy trade right now, and they threw them opportunities at us and we took them and we ran. But every student don't have that opportunity. So schools like Baloo used to have it. We used to have like hair courses. And then I found out because that's literally where I wanted to go to high school. Like, I wanted to go to Baloo because they had cosmetology as a trade. I lived exactly where I wanted to go. And then turned around, they said they had that like Baloo stay or something. Baloo stay is for the kids that get put out of Baloo. So I couldn't go there. So it was just like, it was nowhere else I could really go. And then I ended up saying, and they didn't have another.
I'm sorry, if I can add, I know we're doing this time, but I I feel like a lot of those opportunities are like closely kept secrets. Like it definitely is like who you know and who you're very nice to, because 90% of the opportunities that I have are through my mentor. And that's just because of who she is and kind of like the level she's in with our local government. But without her, I wouldn't have none of these having these opportunities. So it's definitely about who you know. And I think definitely like with the school thing, I think it just got changed like this year or last year. But I learned that like based on the area, schools get more money. And so what about the kids who don't want to travel an hour? Because it takes me an hour and a half to get to school every day. Right. So I was like, what about that kid who don't want to travel all the way out their way to go to a better school or who don't even get into the lottery? Like, what about that kid that's stuck at Anacostia or Balloon or even like HB? So that funding for schools should definitely be universal. Every school gets or based on kids because like Anna, Dunbar, and HD, like we had the most amount of like kids in our schools. And I think personally Dunbar is well funded. I don't know what they using their money for, but other schools like they don't even have money to get paper or books, like, but they expect the kids to show up every day and want to be there. And it's like, oh Johnny, yeah, I'm in school, or even want to be there on time. So it's just that's like another really big thing.
And I say, I mean, I know that on college thing too, speak of tag. You know, it's every DC it's eligible if that's for special part but any state ran school, but also that in DCPS, because my guy who started out being my mentee, I was his mentor, and now he's a friend, and he's like Kenny Brown, he's a college coordinator, he works at Blue. But there's a him, I think, at every DC hospital should. So ask, your future schools college coordinator, because they help not only get kids in college, but they also help kids identify trade opportunities and career opportunities that may not want to go to college. I just wanted to share that. But I think it also, again, we have these roles, we have these people. There's no way that a student in those schools, shouldn't know who that person is, especially a 11th or 12th grade. And the other thing I thought about when we were talking, I'm sorry, but just I think when we start talking about this identity safety, right? And everybody's feeling somewhat unsafe. Think about a kid, think about these children who's traveling that far away from home to go to school and work out this life. And what that triggers is I have to make myself safe. You know what I mean? I have to figure out how I'm gonna get to and from safely, whatever that takes. And that's putting a lot of our young people in a situation where they feel like they have to arm themselves or whatever the case may be. Because while the public feels like young people are putting that pressure on the general population, we feel unsafe but they are the most unsafe. Themselves. You know what I mean? So I think that's something that, to me, the framing of this conversation is great to hear from them, because they, you see through their eyes what they're up against.
Every morning, like when I'm going to school, it's literally times I literally like right now I'm phone like service. So I can't call her now. Like I used to call my mom multiple times and like just having her have to sit on the phone with me because I was sexually assaulted when I was young. And like every morning when I go to school, it's literally an old man literally like a month ago got mad at me because he was staring at me and blowing kisses at me. And I had like did like this on my face, and I walked across the street and he bucked at me, and I was like, and I called my mother, and then like this trash up bumping at me. Like any grown men be talking to me, it don't matter what I have or what anything. I can have a little my face, I can have a lash lipstick on it, it don't matter. I can go to school with sweatpants and they're gonna literally try to talk to me. Every time I come home, I'm on the way home, I have to get on 2 buses to get home. I'm always on dinner road, they're always trying to talk. But also my college career, adult, her name is Miss Simpson. She is amazing. The amount of kids she has gotten to college and the amount of scholarships she knows about, she is amazing.
Shout out to Miss Simpson. So, when I hear about Miss Simpson, I think about what I don't know, but I hope to know one day. I think about what Tony was saying earlier about, he said, well, there are resources today, but not enough people who connect with young people. But those people do exist. They are in this city. And how we sort of find them and pull them in and get them into these mentoring roles, get them into our schools to help make sure you don't miss opportunities to study abroad and can, get the FAFSA done. We've really got to tap the resources in our city better than we do, because all resources are financial. Many of our resources are people. And we've got the people, money might start to decline, but we've got the people. We've got to tap them in, I think, with mentoring, but we've also got to reach young people where they are. You talk about barbering and cosmetology. I'm also thinking about like electricians, somebody who can be making $70,000 a year out of high school. So many of these trades you can make really good money, more money than a lot of people coming out of college. With nurses, but you've got to have that opportunity to get those certifications in high school. So you leave high school, you're making money.
I was just but I looked at what job can have you making $100,000? Because I'm not gonna do anything. I'm gonna be rich. I don't care.
You're gonna be a pipe fitter. Like in school, by the time I realized what pipe fitters make, they make money.
It was like that. You could do like a business and everything. But like, I feel like they also said there's no people for when they put in a brace or orthodontics. And I feel like that. I feel like, to be honest, that could be a trade. You could take a class like just like a CPR class. I mean, CPR and surgery. But like, I feel like the truth is just like I did that. I could get certified in orthodontist too. I didn't get an orthodontist, like take a class, endless class. I would go through all that just to become something like that. You put the braces on this. I don't think it's enough.
But there are a lot of places for young people and just help them understand what it is they're looking for. Some want a certain life. Some of them want to make a certain amount of money, and all those things exist in their different paths. But we got to help make those paths more real. Missy, let me come back to you because one of the things that I know and I try to repeat it a lot. We often look at government, when we talk about the problem in the city and say, what isn't government doing? But government can't solve it all. It can't. These are community problems, they're family problems, and we've got to recognize that government plays a role, but government can't solve anything. What are your thoughts on outside of government? What we need to be doing as a community, as people, as families to help engage our young people, help keep them safe and keep them sort of out of the criminal justice system?
And so I was listening to the young ladies right here. I'm gonna reach out to her, especially like when she had to walk to school, get on that bus. And you have grown men assaulting her. That's actually what they're doing, is assaulting this young lady. And so you have many stories like this. And so what we need to do as a community is self-awareness. We need more self-awareness. She may have to walk down a path alone. She had her partner right here, but her partner had to go a different path, and she's going to have to go home. And so we need someone that can say, you know what, on this block, on my block, we're not doing this. We're going to safe passage. That's right. We're going to make sure these kids, if she's in Dunbar, let's make sure these kids in Dunbar get from Dunbar to home. And we can't do it by ourselves, so it takes a village. We have to come together as a unit. We have to do one. Yeah. And so if she brings the problem to me, I have the right to call 911. And hey, listen, we have a fella out here on the streets that is harassing these babies out here. I need someone to come in and step inside and just watch them for a couple of days. Let's see what's the problem out here. Let's see what's going on. Who's these people out here harassing these babies? Because if we don't, they're not going to want to go to school. Yeah. And this is where the dropout rate is going to go back up. And then, they feel, well, I have to have mace, or I'm going to go and bear arms the wrong way because I'm afraid for my life. I don't know what these people are going to do. And so we have to come together as a unit so we can make sure they're safe, make sure we're safe, get it out in the community. Hey, we have this person standing on this corner. He's been here 4 or 5 days. You know, we have young girls on the street, we have young girls on this block. Let's find out why.
Yeah.
It's the question, why again? You know, so we have to do it as a unit.
And Anisha, this is something that you should never have to go through. You know, I feel sorry that that's something you experience in the city, trying to go to school, come home from school. Arayah, when you talk about, you know, the experiences that you have as a student, the things you look forward to in the future, and the types of things that your peers go through, you know, it reminds me that we as a city owe you more. You know, it feels like not that long ago when I was a student getting into a lot of trouble, and I felt like adults weren't listening. And now I'm an adult in a position of power, and I feel like I have an obligation to hear what people are saying and to try to show up in the ways that they're saying they need us to show up. So I really want to thank you both for sharing your thoughts, your perspectives. I mean, this was so incredibly valuable. I knew I would learn a lot. Listen to you, I didn't know I would learn this much in an hour. So thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for the example that you set. Thank you for dropping wisdom for folks. As we wrap up, are there any organizations? Y'all have been really good at shouting out people in organizations, and I know they appreciate that. Any people or organizations you want to shout out?
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Missing. Why
Yeah.
they were like, they speak to you every and they make sure you get something. They don't leave off the property so
Right.
child till the property is like clear when the children. Just stay passive people. Why you 60 years old fine instead of why? But different schools. But I think definitely like there are a lot of organizations that want to help and that care. It's just all about, you know, letting it be known.
Right. Well, I want to thank you both. I want to thank Tony, Missy. What we have to do in the city right now for young people to keep you safe, to keep you out of the justice system, to step up for parents to help them parent better. We've got to do it, and we've got to do it quickly because I don't want to see more young people go down this road, and I think we've got to make sure we're focused on it. You know, some of it is accountability. Young people got to know like there's going to be consequences if I get into trouble. We need to make sure we let them understand that so that they don't go down that road. But we got to present the off ramps too. So I appreciate you being here. You expect to see more from me on this. I'm learning some things tonight that I want to incorporate into the work that I'm doing. I'm going to introduce a bill very soon that's going to expand career and technical opportunities, trades in our schools. That's going to expand mentoring for young people, because the types of things we can do with mentoring, with sort of a career on the horizon, I think is huge. And we're going to keep more kids out of trouble if we can do that. But then there are other things that I'm hearing that we need to do. One of my colleagues, Matt Fruman, has a bill to expand out of school time programs. So I'm gonna plug in with Matt, with Councilmember Fruman on that. But the things you all are saying are the things that we need to get done and make reality. So I appreciate it, and we're gonna keep working. I'm gonna keep listening to you. So thank you all for being part of this conversation. We got more work in front of us. So excellent. So I guess good night. Peace.